Experience.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. My daughter-in-law is a fortune baby. My son converted to SGI in college, and they were married in a Buddhist wedding. My oldest daughter converted about a decade ago. All three have dropped subtle hints over the years that perhaps Buddhism could help me find purpose. I thought about checking it out around the time COVID hit, and I found that I just cannot make good connections with people over Zoom and decided to wait. On September 1st of 2021, I got a 60-day notice to vacate from my landlord on the 2-bedroom house that I was renting. I'd gone into debt to furnish the house, and I could not find a reasonably priced rental anywhere. I sold my truck and my 4-wheel pop-up camper and bought an Airstream and a big truck. I ended up selling all my furnishings at fire sale prices, and I decided, because I didn't want to pay any storage fees. I moved to an RV park in Lake Havasu for 2 months, and then I moved up to Vegas. In Vegas, I hit a bottom. I got COVID and was kicked out of the RV park I was in. I was sick, I was angry, and I was not pleasant to be around. My daughter introduced me to a friend of hers there, a former National Women's Division Military Active Duty and Veterans Group leader, Diana Fleek. After my COVID pass, I invited her to dinner, and she suggested I read The Buddha in Your Mirror and begin chanting Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. In the book, the author suggests writing down 10 things that you want to change in your life and chant for that. I wrote down 1. I wanted peace and serenity. I was a mess, and I wanted the endless negative ruminations that were running through my head to stop. They didn't stop. But it got better, and I slowly got calmer over time. I finally moved my trailer to my friend's farm here in Yucaipa, and I looked up this Buddhist center here in Riverside. But it was still closed. I got really despondent as I have no access to the internet out at the farm other than my phone, and I have to go to a corner of the property to get that to work. Concerned about my inability to make connections online, I reached out to Diana again and asked for help in finding someone in this area that I could talk to. I was still a mess with negative thoughts. She got me in touch with Kevin Nunn here, and I got invited to the first men's meeting when you opened after COVID, here at the Riverside Center. During the meeting, at the topic discussion part, they threw out the topic window and asked me to share my experience. I shared this story, and then one of the older members spoke up. He told me how lucky I was to have come into this from a bottom, and that has allowed me to see the changes quickly in my life. I was tearing up as I'm writing that, and it's overcoming me here right now. He touched my soul. I've never felt a greater connection with human beings as I did in that room at that moment. Several other members spoke before they moved on to the next part of the meeting. I was sitting there, tears were pouring down my face, and it was an experience I'd never felt that emotion before. I knew I was happy, but I couldn't quite process it. At subsequent meeting, as I described my experience to my sponsors, they correctly identified that feeling as boundless joy. Anytime I talk about that moment, and right now, I'm just catapulted right to that same moment, that same feeling of joy. My life hasn't changed, but how I process the things around me began to change, slowly at first. Kevin gave me some prayer beads, the liturgy of the SGI, a Living Buddhism magazine, and a few other things to read. Simon showed me how to use the SGI app so I could listen to the Gongyo. I've gotten fairly disciplined, hardly perfect, in twice-a-day chanting, and many things in my life have improved, though I still had these negative ruminations spinning through my head, and I would blurt out inappropriate statements or make unfair judgments of the actions of others. Still, I kept chanting and praying. My compassions for others that I normally avoided changed. I started talking to homeless people that I'd run across in parking lots, just checking on them. I truly listened, and being the addict I am, I could really identify with them. I found that I could easily connect and then help them in small ways that they appreciated. I had a terrible relationship with my girlfriend because I kept making judgments and trying to control her behavior. I used to be a good listener, but instead I would think about telling a better story as she was talking. And I hired a therapist to help me start writing down my thoughts and feelings. I kept chanting and praying. I began to see patterns in my behavior. I quit cannabis use. Being an addict, this would not have been easy except for the chanting and the praying. A big change occurred, but I still reacted to things running through my brain. Based on my own personal observations, because I was writing down everything, I saw another pattern associated with my coffee intake. I quit coffee. I was only drinking a couple cups in the morning and occasional one in the afternoon and switched to tea. You coffee addicts might think this was hard, but it was really, really easy. I really don't think it was just the coffee, but a breakthrough in my awareness of self happened pretty simultaneous with that. This is very recent, just the last few weeks. I am more resilient, much less prone to reacting to outside influences, and a much calmer person. The peace and serenity that I've been chanting for finally arrived. I'm finding the person I want to be. I want to help a larger population than just individuals. I've filled out an application with the Red Cross. I got an interview on Tuesday. And I'm seeking other opportunities. I'm reconnecting with my girlfriend who can see the change. I'm dealing with some underlying anxiety, but now that just seems completely manageable. My relationships are improving. I'm truly happy and grateful for all of you. Thank you.